This Saturday, an official announcement confirmed that Yanic CER, the current world #1 and two-time Australian Open champion, has reached a settlement regarding his high-profile doping case. The resolution comes after the Italian player tested positive for CLAL in March of last year, sparking a legal battle that had been looming over him for nearly a year. The World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, which initially sought a suspension ranging from 1 to 2 years, ultimately agreed to impose a 3-month ban effective immediately. This decision came after prolonged legal discussions, during which WADA had prepared to escalate the matter to the Court of Arbitration for Sport in pursuit of a stricter punishment. Initially, the International Tennis Integrity Agency, ITIA, had handed down only a brief 96-hour suspension. However, after 2 successful appeals by CER challenging his provisional ban, the case took a more complicated turn. The Italian tennis star was able to present compelling evidence that the banned substance, CLAL, entered his system unintentionally. According to his legal team, the contamination occurred after his physiotherapist treated a minor hand injury using a topical ointment containing CLAL. Without wearing sterile gloves, the physiotherapist later performed a massage on CER, inadvertently transferring traces of the prohibited substance into his system. Following an extensive review of the case, WADA acknowledged that CER had no deliberate intention to cheat. The agency conceded that the presence of CLAL in his test results did not provide him with any performance-enhancing advantage and that the exposure was purely accidental. Nonetheless, as outlined by the Anti-Doping Code and legal precedent, an athlete remains accountable for the actions of their support team. Given the unique circumstances of this particular case, the agency determined that a 3-month suspension was an appropriate outcome. In its official statement, WADA emphasized that the charges against CER had been immediately dropped following the agreement. This case has been looming over me for nearly a year, and the process was still far from a resolution, with a final decision potentially being delayed until the end of the year, CER said in a public statement. I have always acknowledged my responsibility for my team, and I understand that WADA's strict regulations are in place to protect the integrity of the sport I love. On that basis, I have decided to accept WADA's offer to settle these proceedings with a 3-month suspension. The ban officially began on February 9th, the date of the agreement, and will conclude on May 4th. This timing allows CER to return to competition just in time for the prestigious Masters 1000 tournament in Rome, where he will make his comeback on home soil. Yanic CER breaks his silence after doping suspension. Shortly after the suspension was confirmed, the Italian tennis player issued a public statement, addressing the situation and expressing his thoughts on the resolution. I take full responsibility for my team's actions, CER stated in a candid message. The world #1 acknowledged that, despite his lack of intent, the regulations are clear, and the athlete is ultimately held accountable for any negligence within their entourage. The 3-month suspension agreement reached with WADA, spanning from February 9th to May 4th, means that CER will miss significant tournaments, including the Sunshine Double, Indian Wells and Miami, as well as key clay court events in Monte Carlo and Madrid. However, the timing allows him to return in time for the Rome Masters, a crucial event on the ATP calendar. CER reiterated his stance in his statement. I have always understood the importance of the strict anti-doping regulations that safeguard the fairness of this sport. Based on this understanding, I have decided to accept the settlement offer that brings this matter to a close with a 3-month suspension. The Italian tennis star elaborated on the circumstances surrounding his positive test. According to his account, the banned substance entered his system during a physiotherapy session, where his trainer, unaware of the potential consequences, applied a medication containing CLAL to a minor cut on his hand before proceeding with a massage without gloves. While CER admitted partial responsibility for the oversight, he pointed out that the International Tennis Integrity Agency, ITIA, had initially ruled in his favor, declaring his innocence before WADA reopened the case and imposed the final suspension. This case has been weighing on me for nearly a year, CER admitted, and the legal proceedings could have continued for months, possibly extending into the end of the year. Given the circumstances, I decided that reaching an agreement was the best course of action rather than prolonging the uncertainty. Following an extensive investigation by the ITIA, including consultations with WADA-accredited laboratories, it was concluded that CER had successfully identified the source of the banned substance and that his violation was unintentional. The final ruling reaffirmed this conclusion, with an independent panel determining that there was no deliberate wrongdoing on the part of the athlete. The International Tennis Federation, ITF, issued a statement confirming the findings. After a thorough investigation, including expert analysis from accredited laboratories, we are satisfied that the player has provided sufficient evidence to explain the presence of the prohibited substance in his system. The ruling today reflects our commitment to ensuring fairness while recognizing that this case involved no intentional doping. With the matter now resolved, CER is set to focus on his return to the sport. His immediate goal will be to regain his top form in time for the European clay court season, culminating in his much-anticipated participation in the Rome Masters, where he will aim to reclaim his standing as one of the most dominant players in the world. The 3-month suspension was only possible due to a negotiated settlement between W and the player. The official statement has sparked intense debate, with a prominent tennis icon coming to Yanic CER's defense, asserting that the world number 1 did nothing wrong. Feliciano Lopez directly addressed Stan Wawrinka and indirectly responded to the widespread criticism surrounding the leniency of the suspension. The resolution of this high-profile doping case has sent shockwaves throughout the tennis world, igniting passionate discussions about fairness and integrity in the sport. Some of the most vocal figures in the tennis community, including Nick Kyrgios and Stan Wawrinka, have not held back in expressing their discontent with W's decision. Both the Australian and the Swiss took to social media, declaring it a dark day for the sport and suggesting that tennis is no longer clean. The predominant sentiment among critics is that the 3-month ban is far too lenient, particularly in light of the fact that WADA had originally sought a suspension ranging from 1 to 2 years for CER. Many argue that the reduced punishment sets a troubling precedent and weakens the strict anti-doping measures that are supposed to uphold the integrity of professional sports. However, in a surprising turn of events, Spanish tennis veteran Feliciano Lopez came out in support of CER, offering a stark contrast to the overwhelming backlash. In response to Wawrinka's tweet, which raised concerns about the transparency of the sport, Lopez firmly defended the Italian, stating, "Yes, Stan, it is very clear that he did nothing to enhance his performance. That has been proven." His words carried weight, as they highlighted an often overlooked aspect of the case: the fact that CER's violation was deemed unintentional and did not provide him with any athletic advantage. Yanic CER's doping suspension has completely disrupted the dynamics at the top of men's tennis. By agreeing to a 3-month ban with W, the Italian successfully avoided an April hearing that could have resulted in a much harsher penalty, potentially sidelining him for up to 2 years. However, the consequences of his absence will still be significant. The suspension means that CER will not be eligible to compete until May 4th, forcing him to miss 5 critical tournaments, 4 of which are prestigious Masters 1000 events: Indian Wells, Miami, Monte Carlo, and Madrid, as well as the ATP 500 event in Doha. These tournaments were crucial to his calendar, as he was set to compete alongside top contenders such as Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic. His absence will undoubtedly weaken his stronghold on the ATP rankings, where he currently leads with a commanding point total following a stellar start to 2024, including his Australian Open triumph. In practical terms, CER will see a significant deduction in his ATP ranking points, as he will be unable to defend 1,600 points accumulated in these tournaments last year. As a result, his ranking will drop from 11,830 to 10,230 by the time he makes his comeback at the Rome Masters. This creates a golden opportunity for his rivals to close the gap or even overtake him at the top of the rankings. Alexander Zverev, currently ranked second with 8,135 points, is within striking distance. However, the biggest threat to CER's position comes from Spain's Carlos Alcaraz. Sitting at 7,510 points, Alcaraz is uniquely positioned to capitalize on the Italian's absence in the coming weeks. His early exit from Rio last year, coupled with his non-participation in Monte Carlo, means he has a significant opportunity to accumulate fresh points. Alcaraz's chances of catching up depend on his ability to maximize his performance in upcoming tournaments. Mathematically, he has the potential to earn as many as 3,600 points if he were to secure titles in Doha, Indian Wells, Miami, Monte Carlo, Barcelona, and Madrid. While achieving such a feat would be nearly impossible given the grueling physical and mental toll of back-to-back tournaments, it remains within the realm of possibility for the highly talented Spaniard. Should Alcaraz accomplish this extraordinary winning streak, he would amass a total of 11,110 points, nearly 1,000 more than CER's projected 10,230 when he returns in Rome. Such an outcome would give Alcaraz a serious chance at reclaiming the world #1 spot before the French Open, setting the stage for an intense battle at Roland Garros. While the suspension may not have ended CER's season, it has undoubtedly complicated his path forward. His rivals now have a unique window of opportunity to dethrone him, and the next few months could reshape the ATP rankings in ways few would have anticipated just weeks ago. This unforeseen turn of events has completely reshaped the battle for the world #1 ranking at a time when Yanic CER appeared to have full control. The Italian's remarkable start to the 2024 season, highlighted by his dominant triumph at the Australian Open, made it seem as though he would continue his reign unchallenged for the foreseeable future. However, his unexpected suspension has now altered the landscape, creating an extraordinary opportunity for his closest rivals to close the gap, or even dethrone him altogether. Carlos Alcaraz stands as the biggest beneficiary of CER's absence. The young Spaniard, known for his electrifying play style, relentless energy, and adaptability across different court surfaces, now finds himself in a prime position to capitalize. His aggressive shot-making, incredible physical endurance, and mental toughness make him a formidable contender in this period of CER's enforced hiatus. His previous successes on clay, coupled with his strong performances on hard courts, suggest that he has the potential to make deep runs in every upcoming tournament. However, the road to the top will not be easy. The ATP circuit is more competitive than ever, with seasoned champions and rising stars all vying for crucial ranking points. Alcaraz will have to navigate fierce opposition from elite players like Novak Djokovic, Daniil Medvedev, and Alexander Zverev, each of whom is also looking to take advantage of CER's absence. Djokovic, despite being in the later stages of his career, remains a dominant force, particularly in high-pressure situations. Medvedev, with his unorthodox but highly effective baseline game, is always a threat on hard courts, while Zverev's consistent performances make him another strong contender in the rankings race. The next few months will be pivotal in determining whether CER can retain his world #1 status upon his return, or if Alcaraz, or perhaps another challenger, will have surpassed him by then. The Spaniard's ability to accumulate points during this stretch will be key in deciding whether he can take over the top spot before the start of the clay season's most prestigious event, Roland Garros. As fans, we are in for an exhilarating chapter in the ATP season, where every match carries heightened significance. The battle for supremacy at the pinnacle of men's tennis has never been more intense, and the uncertainty surrounding CER's return only adds to the drama. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button here on Tennis Zone. Our mission is to bring you the best content for the most passionate tennis audience. We provide in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and comprehensive coverage of everything happening in the world of tennis. Join our community and experience the thrill of the biggest tournaments with us. At Tennis Zone, we are committed to delivering top-quality, up-to-date content covering player strategies, tournament insights, and the most significant events shaping the tennis world. Stay tuned for more exclusive reports and expert breakdowns as we continue following the most exciting developments in the sport.